Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another digest, where this time it's a bit late, and I'm going to be talking about all the stuff that I finished from January and February of 2025. So let's just get right into it. The first thing, actually, I guess just to preface, a lot of these things are also going to be things I've already talked about on the channel, and one of those is Squid Game Season 2. So this is a TV show, I'm sure you've heard of it. It's like the most popular thing on Netflix of all time, I think. Maybe internationally or something, I don't know. But it's 7 episodes, and I watched it on the 28th of December to the 3rd of January. I have a video on this channel if you really want to know what I thought about this, but generally, it was really great. It was a 4 out of 5. I think I enjoyed it pretty much as the first one, maybe a little bit more potentially. It had a bunch of new games that I thought were really fantastic, a bunch of new characters and interesting dynamics, and they were put in interesting situations and so on and so forth. I think it was basically more than I could have ever expected. When season 1 wrapped up, I just thought, where could this possibly go? And season 2 kind of pleasantly surprised me. The only drawback is that it ends on a cliffhanger and it is not a complete story. By the end of season 2, you're like, okay, I just want to watch more because I don't know where this is going, which is a bit sad. You know, season 1 wrapped up neatly and tidily and everything, and it was all great. This one does not. So if for some reason you're watching this and you didn't watch the review and you also haven't seen the season yet, don't watch season 2 of Squid Game until season 3 is out, I guess, because I think that'll be a much more complete story. But that's it. Less than like a minute, I think I talked about that. Squid Game Season 2. Go check out the video. Next up, we have another thing I've already talked about, Star Wars. So I watched in January and February, I watched all of the original trilogy and all the prequels. So it was a rewatch. I'd already seen these before, and I don't think much of my thoughts changed much, with the exception of, I think, the first Star Wars movie, so episode 4. I don't think it's as good as I remember it being. It feels the most, it definitely feels the sloppiest. It feels the most out of place. Like, it doesn't feel like it fits in with all the other ones quite as well. It feels like it didn't really quite know what direction it was going in. The acting's worse, the costuming's worse, but I guess all this makes sense because it's the first one, right? Lowest budget, I'm assuming, the fewer people involved in the production, I guess. I don't know. Basically, the first one was a bit worse than I remembered. All the rest, I just love them just as much as I did. All the originals, they're like a 4 out of 5. All the prequels, they're like a 5 out of 5. I guess the first episode, like episode 1, is probably not quite as good, maybe a 4 out of 5. The pod racing is still pretty slow. But if you want to know my complete thoughts on this, go check out the discussion videos that I had with Kyle Entertainment. A very in-depth discussion on all those movies. But next up, we have another thing I've already talked about, Garden of Sinners. So we watched when I say we, I mean me and Kyle Entertainment. We watched the first 4 movies in the Garden of Sinners franchise, I guess, or like not trilogy, but like I think it was like 7 movies or something. I don't know. We watched these, the anime movies. There's 4 of them, and I watched it from the 20th to the 26th of January. Overall, I was not a fan of these. Now, it might mainly be my fault because I was finding it pretty hard to keep track of what was going on. These movies are told out of order. I was a little confused initially whether it was like sci-fi or whether it was more grounded, and I think it is much more sci-fi now that I realize that. Maybe I'll enjoy them more. Basically, I was confused. Nothing really stuck with me emotionally. It wasn't terrible, you know. There was some, like, for instance, there was, I think, the third movie was good, I think. That was the one where there was this new girl that was introduced with new powers, and she had, like, a sad backstory, and there was a cute ending where I think Shiki was the main character. She, like, spared her, and I was like, oh, this is, like, kind of cute. But the rest of them were kind of boring, and, yeah, I don't know. This basically wasn't for me. But if you're interested, once again, go to the secondary ENT channel, which is Kyle Entertainment's second channel, and you can watch our full discussion on these 4 movies with more videos to come for the future movies too. But that's Garden of Sinners. Now we have Challenges. So this is a movie that came out in 2024, a very well-known movie. I think I've heard a lot of people talk about this. It's 2 hours and 11 minutes long, and I watched it on the 23rd of January. So this is a fantastic movie. 5 out of 5. I loved so much of this. I like how, firstly, again, if you want to go check out my full thoughts, I think it's on this channel. If you can check just scroll down, I guess. If you somehow found this, you'll see my Challenges review with Kyle. We discussed it in person at my apartment, but it's great. What can I say? It's a very small scale movie. It's just about these 3 characters, and it spans like when they were younger to now at the past their prime, I guess, playing a tennis match. It's all about their relationship. Tennis is a metaphor for relationships. The soundtrack is amazing. That's one thing that stuck with me after watching the movie. I've listened to the soundtrack quite a lot. When I say soundtrack, I mean like the one song that's like really famous from this. Acting's great, directing's great. Like, there's really cool shots, like you can see here, like stuff like this. It's really cool. It's just overall a very enjoyable movie. I would highly recommend this. And I would also highly recommend, once you watch it, go listen to our discussion, okay? I'm sure we had a lot to say. Great movie. Next up, we have Nosferatu. So once again, go to Kyle Entertainment's second channel, Secondary ENT. You can see our discussion on this. So this is a movie. It's 2 hours and 12 minutes long. On the 25th of January is when I watched it at the theaters. I actually went in person to watch this one. So this is a film directed by Robert Eggers, I think is his name, who directed The Lighthouse, which is my probably my favorite, like directing wise, it's probably my favorite movie. I don't think there's anything that stands up to The Lighthouse in terms of directing. I think it looks so cool, basically. This is not quite The Lighthouse. This is a 4 out of 5. I enjoyed it. There's a lot of cool, all of the sequences basically surrounding Nosferatu I thought were very good, but at the same time, it also feels like that's a separate movie to the other part of the movie, which is following these, like, I don't know what period this takes place in, like I don't know. I was gonna say medieval, but it's not medieval. Is it like the 1800s, the 1900s, whatever? There's like the Nosferatu, cool, like supernatural, scary, oh my god, black and white, like cool visuals, cool sound design, cool music, cool everything stuff. And then there's like the kind of goofy, we're gonna figure out what's going on here, like we're scientists and we're doctors and we're funny people. I don't know, that stuff wasn't quite for me. So that drags it down from I think a 5 to a 4, but it was still very enjoyable. Very well directed, as I would expect. But yeah, so if you're interested in my full thoughts on Nosferatu, go check out the secondary NT discussion video too. But that's that. Now we have, finally, believe it or not, this is going to be the quickest digest of all time. We're up to stuff I finished in February. So one of those is Satisfactory. So this is something I finally actually have notes on. I don't have to go off the top of my head. But this is a game. It's a factory automation game, basically, where you put down buildings and you have to build certain things. And then those things you build have to get used to build other things. And eventually you have to like send a big space elevator up into space and send a ship off into the solar system. I don't know. It's basically a factory building game, an automation game, you could say. It took 111 hours to finish this. I played it with 2 friends, so altogether there were 3 of us. And I started in October of 2024 and then finished in February of this year. So basically this is, I mean, it's a 5, obviously. I was going to say, I'm sure you know this, but I don't know how anyone would know this listening to this, but Satisfactory is the game that I've played the most on Steam. I think I have like over 800 hours now, which to some people might not sound like much, but to other people might sound like an insane amount. I love it. It's the only reason we played it again now is because the full game came out. This is the first time playing the full actual released game. Before we were playing the early access version. And it's just basically the same game, but like refined and adds like a few things that make the experience like so much better. Like there's a few small quality of life changes that just are kind of, they're not really as small as they sound because they are actually night and day. The biggest is definitely the dimensional depot thing. I guess it's not really a quality of life change because it's like, it actually like is a new feature. Basically, there's this thing in the game where you go and you hunt for like alien artifacts basically. And then when you find enough of them, you can build this like special storage system that whatever you feed into it, it will actually be accessible from your inventory no matter where you are, which makes it like so much easier to build new factories because instead of having to like plan out exactly what materials you want to take with you and then travel all the way across the other side of the world, you can just like feed every storage chest you have in your like in your storage place into a bunch of dimensional depots, and then you can just go off and build as many factories as you want. It's like really, really great. So the dimensional depot is like a night and day great addition to this game. The second thing, I guess just talking about like the bigger edition since I started with that, is toward the end of the game, there's a portal added. And this is very good because, I guess just to give a preface, the Satisfactory world is pretty big. If you were to like run like manually using like WASD, it'd probably, I can't imagine, it'd take a very long time, maybe like 20 minutes to like get across from one side to the other, I feel like, maybe more. So generally, before the portals were added, the easy way to get around is to use hypertubes. And then if you really, really want to get around quickly, you can like use a hypertube boost, which is that you get like a bunch of different hypertubes. You can even shoot them into the air and you go in and it like shoots you up and then you gotta like navigate using like a jetpack to kind of get somewhere. And that can take like maybe 10 seconds to get across the map, right? Using the portal, you basically just like step in the portal. It's instant, takes like a few seconds to load or whatever, maybe similar time to what it would take to get like to the other locations using a hypertube. But the difference is that there's no lag when using the portal. Whenever you use the hypertubes, it adds a lot of lag, both to you as like the player and also me as the server hoster. And it's good, it's really effective and fast and everything, but it just lags everything so much. And sometimes you crash and it's not quite good. The portal's great. It even makes more sense like lore-wise. It's like cool, you got these alien artifacts, whatever, you can have like portals and you don't have to rely on these weird goofy hypertubes. I love it. The only issue is, it's like right at the end of the game. Like when you're in the last like 10 hours of the game, you're like, oh my god, I have access to the portal. This is great. This portal should absolutely just be pushed way, way earlier into the story. Not story, I guess, but yeah, I guess the gameplay. Like in tier 3 or 4 or something. Like maybe not that early, I guess, but put it earlier, okay? That's just like my one criticism of this portal thing. But then I have like a few actual, in my notes, small actual quality of life changes. One of them is the power towers, which are like basically, there's power poles that send like power across your station and your like, I guess, well, I don't know why I said station, but your factories. And everything has to be connected with a pole, basically. So if you want to bring power from one side of the world to the other, you have to get poles. The power towers are basically just like poles that are much bigger, and they transfer power over long distances. So it's much, instead of having like 5 poles, you have like 1 power tower. Maybe even more. Maybe like instead of 10 poles, you get like 1 power tower, which is like a very good quality of life, like small change that makes building things much easier. Another minor small thing, I don't know why I said that, but another small thing is the biomass burners. So back in the day, the first source of power you get is called a biomass burner. And what that means is that you put in biofuel, whether that be, I guess it is just like biomass or like biofuel, whatever. You put it in manually, like you drag it from your inventory into the biomass burner, and then it burns for a little bit until it runs out. And you need to go top it up again. Now they've added an input to each of the biomass burners, so you can actually create like a nice system where you have like an actual storage container, and then it can be distributed into like a bunch of biomass burners, which makes the early game in this game much better. So instead of having to go and collect stuff, and then as soon as your power runs out or your factory is out of power, you need to go back and put the fuel back in the biomass burner. Now you can just like have a nice chest where you put stuff in there and it distributes it. And whenever you run out, you don't need to go to all the different biomass burners around the world and like fill them all up. You can just put it in this nice chest and it sorts it out. So much better. Great quality of life thing. Another thing is that the conveyor belts finally have a straight mode. So you can, instead of having to like use your scroll wheel and like perfectly align the corners when you turn around, it just has a nice straight mode. You press it. We're in straight mode. You can put your mouse wherever you want when you put in the conveyor down. It makes it nice and straight in the corners. I love it. It's fantastic. The save times are also way faster. That was a bit of an issue in our last playthrough, like a year or two ago, where you get toward the end of the world and it takes like 10 seconds to save. So for those 10 seconds, the server host, which is me all the time, I think, my game is frozen for the 10 seconds, and then all the people who are connecting to me, their game doesn't freeze, but they like are glitching around, and then basically after the 10 seconds are up, they like revert back in time, and it's a whole mess. So I'm so glad. Saves now, they take like less than a second. It like happens instantly, and I love it. And the final quality of life thing is that they finally added Mark 6 conveyors. So Mark 6, they're the fastest conveyors. They didn't used to exist. So now you can get a Mark 3 miner, I think, on a pure output, overclock it all the way, and you can get 1,200 things. You can put it on a conveyor belt Mark 6, which is a limit of 1,200, and it's all just perfect, okay? So another great quality of life change. Now, the only real, like this is all great stuff, basically. The only real criticism I have of this finally fully released game now is the ending of the story, I guess, is quite weak. Now, this could be my fault, because as we're playing through a multiplayer game, it's hard to like pay attention to the story elements, and sometimes the Ada AI will like read stuff out to you, and it's like people are talking, and even you're not just, I'm like, I just want to get past this, and you like press enter a bunch of times. I miss a lot of details, and I'm sure there's maybe some elements of the story that I just missed. But I was like, oh, okay, we're finally at the end. We're going to send our final thing up the space elevator. What's going to happen? Oh my God, I'm so excited. And then it like just sends a ship away. And I was like, oh, okay, that's like kind of anticlimactic. I was hoping there would be like some plot twist. Maybe the aliens would come down. Maybe you do some weird time travel thing and would get sent back to the start of the planet. Maybe an asteroid will come down and destroy all of our factories we built, and it'll be like a tragic ending. Like that would be really cool. I don't know, just anything cool would have been cool. But no, they just went with a nice like, oh, your resources are getting sent to space, just like we said it would the whole time. It's kind of disappointing, I guess. But yeah, that's basically Satisfactory. I'm still playing it in that I finished this world, but I've started my own single player world because I want to get all the achievements. So I have to collect a bunch of hard drives and what are they even called? Not Sam. I don't know. You need to collect a bunch of stuff basically. And I still need to do that. But anyway, that is Satisfactory. Next up, we have more Star Wars. So I also in February consumed Star Wars episodes, basically the sequels, the first two, so 7 and 8, as well as Rogue One. These were great. I guess when I say great, I mean episode 7 is basically amazing. It's one of the best Star Wars movies, if not the best one. It's up there with Revenge of the Sith, I think. Episode 8 was, I think I said it was like the most interesting Star Wars movie. There's a lot going on. It does a lot of subversions. It has really interesting directing, a lot of interesting character choices. But I have issues with it. The comedy especially, and the use of, or some particular storylines like the Canto Bight stuff I just found incredibly boring. But overall, it's a good movie, like a really good movie, I'd say. And then there's Rogue One, which I like it a lot. It's great. Characters are great. Directing is fantastic. Like, it looks visually a really fantastic movie. Yeah, it's good. But if you want to know more about this, go to, I guess, the other videos on this channel. There is one where I'm discussing this with Kyle Entertainment. Now we have another movie. So this is called The Garden of Words. It came out in 2013. So not only did I watch this for the first time, but I also rewatched it this month. So this is a movie, I guess you could probably classify this as a short film, right? Because it's only 46 minutes long. It's an anime movie, as you can probably see in the background. And I watched it both on the 24th of February. This time I watched it with a friend. And then I watched it again. Basically, I watched it again because I made a scripted video about this on the 28th of February. So if you're interested, go check out the Elite ARIA channel, which is my main channel, I guess, where I put scripted videos. I just released a video on The Garden of Words, which kind of spoils my thoughts on it, which is that this is a really great movie. This is a 4 out of 5. I was teetering between like a 4 out of 5 or a 5 out of 5. I think there is like, the movie doesn't quite connect with me in like some regards, so it's not quite a 5 out of 5, I don't think, but it's a really great movie, and I highly recommend go watching this. But let's see what I have in my notes. So overall, the first thing to say, I guess, about this movie is that it looks beautiful. Like directing wise, there's like a bunch of cool shots. Like there's even like pretty early, like you see these really like realistic kind of looking shots of like a train station and this guy like walking and going through the gate, and you see he's like, you're following his steps as he's walking through like the garden, and it's like really cool. It looks really good. Bunch of environmental shots that look amazing. Character acting is really great. basically visually this movie is like a 5 out of 5, really fantastic, especially for 2013, which is impressive, I would say. But the real appeal of this movie is, I guess, the stories. I guess the story. I mean, there's multiple characters, they each have their story, I suppose, but it's very grounded, which is interesting. The premise is basically you have a 15-year-old boy and a 27-year-old teacher. You don't know she's a teacher until like later in the movie, but they kind of meet at this garden. And they start meeting there incidentally, like they both show up. Oh, it's a rainy morning. We're both here in this like garden. It's like a public garden. It's not like some private, like, house or anything like that. It's just like in public space. And then slowly those meetings become like intentional. Like they both look forward to those meetings. Like, oh my God, it's a rainy day. I'm so excited. Let's go. Like, I'm sure that other person will be there if I go there now. And it's like very straightforward. There's only 2 real characters in this, which are the 2 on the screen right now. You have Takao and Yukino. And it's just basically 2 settings. There's like a few settings. There's like the garden and there's like each of their homes basically and the school. That's basically it. I like the grounded nature of this. I like the incidental meetings turning intentional. That's like it feels like a thing. Like I don't know if I have experienced it before, but I feel like I could easily experience like something like that before, where it's like, even maybe like when you go to the gym, right? And it's like initially you like see people, you see the same people there and you're like, oh, okay, hi or whatever. And eventually it like becomes part of your routine. Like, oh, I'm going to see this person at the gym. Let me like, I get to see them, and you look forward to it a little bit. It's kind of like that. I'm like, oh, this is like a very realistic kind of relatable element to this movie, which I liked. What else is there? I guess I talked about the visuals, but also I watched the dub for this, and I think it's fantastic in 2 regards. One is that it has a very interesting sound mixing and performance element to it, where in a similar way to something that I've seen before, which is Revolutionary Girl Utena, which I also think has a really cool dub, the performances in this are very subdued, where it's like they're not overacting, they're not being exaggeratory or anything like that. They're kind of just speaking very calmly and very quietly. And in terms of the sound mixing, the background sounds and the music are like almost as loud as the speaking, like the dialogue. I like this, like it is a choice. I've only really seen it in Revolutionary Girl Utena before, but it was also done in this, and I liked it a lot. I'm sure there has to be like a word for this type of like sound mixing or performance, but I don't know how to describe it beyond saying it's like grounded or like subdued, I guess. But I really liked it. It feels very gentle, I suppose is the way to say it. But yeah, that's it. A very grounded movie. What else is there? Yeah, the premise I've already talked about. I guess the interesting thing is that this movie kind of starts off and you think it's going to be this like weird like age difference of romance movie, and you're like, this is like, okay, why are we doing this? Like, what's the point of this movie going to be? But I guess by the end of it, you find out that it's not a romance at all. Like there is like the love that is expressed in this movie is, in my opinion, is portrayed to be a bad thing, or like a misplaced kind of love, where it's not love between these characters. It's more so like, it's like, I guess like a platonic kind of love, where it's like a complete understanding between these 2 people. And it's like, I guess it's not a movie about love, it's a movie about loneliness, and like how you can find comfort in other people because you're all people in a way. Like the universality of like the human experience is what this movie is more so about. Yeah, I guess the way I put it in my scripted video is it's like the thematic core of the movie is about how like life is a journey. And you can be at different points in that journey. You could have a kid who's 15 years old at school, struggling, hates school, but like has a place he wants to be and is looking forward to being an adult. And that's like the biggest ideal in the world for him. But he feels kind of lost and is like, well, people, no one around me supports me, but I'm going to be an adult. Don't worry. One day I'll understand it. It'll all come together one day. And then you can have this like teacher who's been like, there's been false rumors about her and she's depressed and her relationship's fallen apart. And like, she's basically stopped moving through life. And you can have these 2 people who have like kind of similar struggles of feeling lost in life, and they can be at different points in their journey completely, but they can kind of find the comfort in each other because they understand that they each are having those same struggles. That's kind of the appeal of this movie to me, where it's like at the end, you have this scene where this basically is the climax. It is an amazing climax. This scene where they're like basically expressing feelings to each other, not like romantic feelings, just like yelling at each other. Or I guess the guy is yelling at the woman, and she is like crying and admitting how much that she saved him, basically. This is the best scene in the movie. Like I cried watching this scene both times in the original and the rewatch. But oh God, where was I going with this? It's great. I don't know. That's all there is to say. I'm sure I had like a point I was getting to, but it's basically fantastic. I'm sure I summarized it in my video better. If you're interested, go check out the video on Elite ARIA. But yeah, it's really good. Now, it's not a perfect movie, and talking more about the premise of me saying that it's more about understanding each other or like finding a connection in loneliness. I guess it's a movie about like loneliness, right? Like, yeah, that was like the way I portrayed it just then. However, the ending of this movie is like, I'm not sure if I'm not understanding it. It must be that I'm not understanding it, because it ends with Takao, who's the 15-year-old boy. Oh, excuse me. He basically at the end is like, oh, okay, look, I understand now. Like it's like a little bit of a flash forward after she's like left and gone to another city. He's like, oh, I understand now. I was struggling to find my place in life, and I was trying to find my way to walk forward. There's like a whole metaphor about walking. We'll talk about that. But one day, let me see if I have a quote. Oh, yeah, one day the path will take me back to her. And it's like, oh, so he was groomed. like at the end, it's like, oh, okay, I thought it was just about loneliness, but like, is he still like mind fucked about like loving her? And it was a bit of a weird ending, basically, which is, I think, the main reason this is like from a 5 to a 4. Cause I'm like, I don't quite understand if it was meant to be, are we meant to like root for this romance, or is it like not a romance at all? And it's just about like loneliness. And the ending was a bit like, it didn't quite land for me, I suppose. But yeah, so I don't know if anyone out there can explain how to tie this all together to make it make sense and not be like a romance, I guess. But yeah, there you go. But what else is there? Oh, the last thing to talk about is what I just said about like the movie also has like a lot of symbolism to do with feet and shoes and walking, which I think is a metaphor tying into what I said before about like how people being in different stages of their life, and even at different stages, whether you're a kid or you're an adult or whatever, you can be kind of paused in that stage in your life, and kind of wearing shoes is symbolic of like moving forward, and not wearing shoes is like not symbolic of going forward. And I think making shoes, which is what Takao is like interested in and wants to make shoes for her, that's like a symbol for like trying to find your place in life or trying to help other people kind of continue on in their life. Yeah, it's like there's a whole metaphor going on with shoes. I think it's like makes sense logically. I don't connect with it at all. It doesn't do anything for me like emotionally. I'm not like, oh, shoes, what a great like symbol, whatever, it's so cool, oh my god. It just falls a bit flat for me, I guess. But it does exist there. It is an interesting thing the movie does. It's not interesting to me, I suppose. But yeah, that is The Garden of Words and the rewatch that I did. Next up, we have Escape the Night Season 1. So this is a TV show, which is on YouTube. It's, I guess, better to say it's a YouTube Red series or a YouTube Premium series or whatever. I think it came out in like 2016, I think it was, like roughly 10 years ago. It has 10 episodes, and I watched it on the 17th of January to the 25th of February. So this is one I watched with a friend, the same friend that I watched Garden of Words with, and a bunch of short films that I guess we're going to talk about after this. But this is one of the most unique things I've ever watched, I think. Firstly, because it's technically, I think, a reality show. You would probably classify this as a reality show. The premise is that you have a bunch of YouTubers. I think there's like 10 or 11 of them. I think there's 11 because I think it says 11 in my notes. They're like in this, okay, how do I even describe this? How do I begin to describe this? Basically, there's a house like or a mansion that is like displaced in time. This is like the story I'm talking about here, okay? And there's like ghosts and demons and stuff, and these 11 YouTubers are like trapped in this mansion, and they have to escape the night, quote unquote, by like doing different challenges, and in the end, only a few of them are going to survive, and like every episode, one of them gets eliminated, you know, by doing a challenge or failing a challenge or something like that, or getting voted out or something. So basically, it's a reality show with YouTubers, but there's no like prize at the end. The only prize is like surviving till the end of the show. It's a mix of like scripted story. Like clearly each like episode has like a story that they're going with or like a theme for that episode, but the actual performances are very clearly like improvised or like very, there is no like acting here. It's just like, I guess it's kind of acting because like each of these YouTubers have a character that they're playing. Like clearly they were told to like have a character that they want to be, and they're kind of like portraying that character, but making the decisions that that character would make. It's like clearly not scripted, I guess is the better word. It feels very unscripted, but it's interesting. This is a 3 out of 5 because it's very enjoyable. It's strange. Like there's some terrible acting. Some of it is boring, but most of it is like actually kind of funny and interesting. But yeah, let me actually look at my notes. What do I have here? So I talked about the reality show. Oh, of the many YouTubers, this is something I should mention. There's like 11 of them, and I only know 3 of them, which I guess makes sense because this is like 10 years old, and I guess the famous YouTubers back then were quite different, and maybe that wasn't my prime era when I was consuming YouTube. But the 3 I know are Shane Dawson, which I've never watched a video of, but I know the name at least. Justine, who I've watched many videos of, at least back in the day, and Lele Pons, my favorite Vine star, who's hilarious, and unironically, I find her very funny, okay? But maybe it's because, I find her funny, but maybe it's like a laughing at her kind of thing sometimes, which, I don't know, but it's funny regardless. Anyway, love Lele Pons. Yeah, the storyline, it talks about that. Basically, each episode, they do like escape room like challenges where it's like, oh, we need to like find this like certain thing that we're getting a hint and we need to like figure out what to do. And there's like a key somewhere and this key has to be put in like this vague like place. And that's like the general vibe of the show. But it's interesting. But overall thoughts, let's see. It's a very casual watch. Like there's not too much you have to keep track of. The characters are not the characters. I guess the YouTubers are quite memorable. So it's not like, oh, we need to see who was that again, who did this. I don't know. It's basically just a very low stakes kind of decent watch. Joey Graceffa, who is this guy in the middle, you probably can't see him. He's like the guy whose channel I think this is on, and he's probably like the director and the owner and blah, 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 all that. It's like his series. He is the worst actor I've ever seen in my life. It's impressive. Like, his delivery is terrible. Like, you could tell me that, like, firstly, I'm pretty sure this is unscripted, but the way he delivers his lines so badly makes it feel like it's scripted, like terribly scripted. It's impressive. He like, when he's bad at acting surprised, he's bad at acting happy, he's just bad in like every single regard. It's impressive. And I am curious if in like firstly, I'm curious if he's in future seasons, but secondly, I'm curious if he gets better or like he's just, yeah, it's impressively bad, basically. Anyway, what else is there? Oh, I have a summary here. I said, it's very unique, kind of feels like a haunted house at an amusement park where there's a planned out story with actors and sets and stuff, and then these YouTubers are being told to play characters and go along with the storyline, but be completely unscripted. That is, I think, the way I would summarize this show. The interesting thing is that it kind of, like, I wasn't sure if it was like scripted or unscripted until like toward the end, where like I talked about it with my friend and they kind of convinced me it was like unscripted. But the thing is, the thing that I think makes it feel much more scripted than it is the VFX. Like, there are like random visual effects they'll insert into this show. Like when they're summoning a demon, like all the YouTubers will be like summoning the demon and there'll be like this crazy smoke that will come out. And it's like obviously like VFX, and I'm like, how did they like plan this? Like, it's an unscripted scenario. Like, how do they know that they were going to have these? I guess they just do it after the fact, right? I guess it makes sense. It's just like the VFX and like the insert kind of cutscenes, I guess basically they have like cutscenes where it's like they have actors that are actually playing certain things and they insert them at the beginning or middle of episodes. That stuff kind of like makes it feel much more scripted than it is, which is, I guess, I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's a thing regardless. But yeah, that's that. Another thing, this is like my big point of criticism here, I guess, but the challenges in this, which are, I guess, somewhat of the appeal, which is like, oh my God, at the end of every episode, we're going to eliminate someone with a challenge. They're quite forgettable. Like, there's some I remember. Like, I wrote them down, I guess, some of them as examples, but the ones I remember, there was one where you're like burying them alive. There's one where they're like kissing mannequins. There's like a few where they're just like randomly doing puzzles and stuff, and the first to win kind of, or the first to finish kind of wins. They're mostly forgettable. And I am curious if in future seasons they'll do like more interesting things. Or maybe I'm just like spoiled because of the great Mr. Beast, who does really like interesting, crazy, insane, expensive challenges in all his videos. Maybe I'm just spoiled because 10 years ago they couldn't afford to do stuff like that. But yeah, it was kind of, yeah, a bit bland, I guess, the actual challenges themselves. But I have a list here of a few. So one is, like I said, like there's a few that are like, okay, you need to like put this here, and whoever does this first, like you get to win or something. There's like a few of those. There's one where they randomly choose, like I said, the burying alive one. Like, you randomly choose someone to get eliminated. Like, oh my God, we're randomly going to choose someone to get buried alive. And I think it was Justine in that one. There's just one where, like, the mannequin one, they're like, I think they like kiss a bunch of mannequins, and at the end they get a death note, and they just like choose to write someone's name in the death note. I'm like, oh, this is like kind of interesting. There's one where there's like a bunch of dolls, and they're reading out descriptions of dolls, and they have to find out speak the particular doll based on the description of it, or like put it in the doll house based on the description, something like that. That was kind of interesting. And then there's one where they're just like playing battleships, and I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, the challenge is pretty forgettable, I would say. In terms of the YouTubers themselves, there's two that I liked particularly, mainly because they were just so funny. One of them, I guess, to no surprise if you're listening to this, Lele Pond. She was hilarious. I loved her in this. And the other one is Timothy, who I'd never heard of before. He's a YouTuber apparently, but he's really funny. I liked him too. Those are my two favorites in this. What else was there? Another, just talking about the YouTubers, Matt, who I don't actually see him here. Maybe he's like covered by the camera, or maybe he's not in the room. I was convinced the entire time that he was like working with the demons, because his acting is like incredibly suspicious. Like, he always is like kind of looking weird ways, and is like giving weird smiles, and he's kind of like speaking a bit like slyly, and it seems like he's hiding information, but no, he wasn't. He wasn't working with the demons at all. I don't know. I guess it was just a weird actor. But the whole time I was convinced that Matt was working with the demons. So there's that. And I suppose my last note on Escape the Night is that I'm looking forward to future seasons, particularly because I guess there's a lot of room for improvement. And I am curious if they're going to like capitalize on that and kind of improve this, or if it would just be like very similar to this, season 1. But I'm also interested because I'm sure that as time goes on, you'll probably get bigger and bigger YouTubers, I would have to assume, or maybe like more recent ones that I'd be more familiar with, I suppose. So I'm excited. Like, maybe next time I'll know more than 3 of the YouTubers. So I guess we'll see. But that is Escape the Night, season 1. Next up, well, the final thing to kind of talk about in this digest is a bunch of short films that I watched this year, or I guess in February specifically. Now, these are basically just things on YouTube that are like, I don't know, anywhere from like 2 minutes to like 8 minutes long, I think. And I watched a bunch of them with a friend who was recommending these to me, basically. So I have some thoughts. So the first one is Drawn to You. So nicely written in my nice notes here. I have a summary for each of these, okay? So Drawn to You. Basically, there's a girl. Okay, you know what? My summary is terrible. Let me just read it out. A girl is drawing two girls. There's the two girls in this picture here, who are holding hands in the original drawing. Well, I guess maybe this is the original drawing. I don't know. Basically, they're like implying that they're like a relationship, right? And her mum, the girl who's drawing, her mum tears the drawing apart because obviously, you know, she's anti-gay and anti-pride and all that. And then she redraws that one of the girls is a guy, basically. But basically, that's just like the setup. The rest of this short film is basically these two characters who've been torn apart. One of them is like thrown in the bin, but there's the other one who's like hung up on the wall paired with the guy. She like breaks out of her frame and she's like come to life and she's like trying to find her way to the other girl who's like in the trash at the moment. So it's like all the pictures in the room like come to life and they're like trying to help her, like they're putting a sword so she can like climb on it, and the only thing she can do is like go from paper to paper. So if she ever like touches the ground or something, she'll die. That's the general premise here. And then at the end, like the couple gets back together, and then you get like a montage where the mum is like supportive, and the main girl actually finds like she dates a girl at prom or something, and it's like, oh, it's just like so cute. But basically this was really great. I'm giving this an S tier. This is one of my favorite ones I've seen. Now, I guess just to say, the short films I'm just going to do from like S to D tier, because I'm like, I don't want to like mix them up with the 5 out of 5s and everything, but I have like a different ranking here. But it is really good. The music was fantastic. I thought it was just really cute, like having this character try its hardest, like get to its girlfriend. And I'm like, oh, this is like really cute. The art style was fantastic. Like it visually just looks great. Like there's really fantastic animation. There's one sequence like toward the end where the pink drawing girl, she's like in the sky and she like jumps off a page and you think she's gonna die and she's like panicking and she's like flailing like this, and I think it's really well directed and like really well animated, and I actually like I get invested. I'm like, oh my god, this poor character is gonna die. So that was fantastic. What else is there? I also think the montage at the end is actually very cute, where it's like, oh, the mum, you know, she like slowly becomes supportive and she's like carrying like a pride flag and she's like happy and she's like she's accepting of her daughter, and it's great. I thought it was cute. This is a great short film. I'd recommend go watch it. Really cute on YouTube. A few minutes, you can do it. But yeah. Next up, we have ARIA. So 2023, this is 6 minutes long. The premise for this, let's see. A woman who used to do parkour around the city feels caged by having to look after her baby. She opens up the window and relives her youth as we see her follow the ghost of her past as she's parkouring around the city. And it shows like a story of her like in the past, like her falling in love and the guy running away when he learns that she's pregnant. And then she like comes back after the parkouring and she sees the kid. And then there's like this, she sees the ghost of like the future. And she sees that, oh my god, one day, like, she's going to be parkouring with a kid and she's going to be really happy. And, you know, she loves the kid because, you know, one day she's going to fill the hole that is currently in her life due to the guy who left. And it's like, oh, this is like really cute. For me, this is A tier. I thought this was really good. Not quite as special as the other ones in S tier to me, but I thought this was really good. Again, the music is good. I think like basically all of these shorts had like really good music, but this one was particularly good. The art style, I think it was okay. It very much feels like firstly, it's like 3D animation. It's very similar to, it's going to sound crazy when I say this, but it's very similar to Arcane in its style. But I guess it's like very, very cheap Arcane where there's none of the kind of glamour to it. But it's like, okay, it's serviceable, I suppose. It just wasn't quite for me. But the animation itself, I guess, is great. Like there's a bunch of parkouring and action and stuff. And it's like, okay, this like looks really good. But yeah, I think the thing that like, it's very, obviously this is a short film. There's not too much to it story-wise, but the big thing that really did get to me is the thing at the end where it's like, it is like this woman, you know, she feels caged by whatever her life. She's like, oh my god, I have a kid and I can't be as free anymore. I can't parkour. My boyfriend left me and now I'm all alone, whatever. And then when she sees that the kid is like going to fill that hole in her life, it does actually get to me a little bit, which is why I think this like, it does land for me in the end, which is why it's an A tier here. But that's really all I have to say about ARIA. Next up, we have Piece of Cake. So this is a 2022 short, which it was 4 minutes and 47 seconds. So the premise for this is that we follow a bunch of wedding cake people. So basically you have cakes, and on top of the cake, you have like the decoration people, and they're like a woman and a man, and they're like getting married on the cake. And you're basically following these. There's basically one pairing of them in a shop, and the husband is like abusive and like hits her, and she like falls off and breaks her arm. And then the rest of the story is like her trying to run away from the husband, and shenanigans ensue basically. And at the end, the husband dies basically, and she like sits on a cake or like stands on a cake with her friend. That's like the premise of this. This, believe it or not, is an A tier. I really like this one. It's great. Firstly, I love the style. It feels very Pixar to me. Like if you told me this was like a Pixar short or something, I'd be like, oh, absolutely. I see it. But yeah, the art is amazing. The animation's great. The character acting is also particularly good. Like the way the characters are actually animated to express things, I think it's very expressive in its character acting. The only thing, I guess, well, I guess firstly, just to say more good things, the directing, I think, is really well done. Like, for instance, when she is, I don't know if this is like a directing decision, whatever it is, but she's like on the cake and the colors are like purple in the background. She gets knocked off and everything turns red in the background. It's like a different vibe. Like, this is all cool stuff. Like, even just like the choice of, would you consider it storyboarding or like, whatever this is, like where it's a very affecting, like emotionally affecting shot or evocative shot where she like is falling down because of the abusive husband and breaks her arm and it like shatters. And I'm like, oh my God, I like feel something here. Oh my God, this poor lady like got her arm shattered by her abusive husband. I don't know what contributes to that. If it's like it's probably the music, it's probably the directing, it's probably like the storyboarding and stuff. Great. Love it. In that regard, it's really fantastic. I guess just to talk about the one thing that I don't think is quite good is that there's like a fight scene toward the end, and I don't think the animation for that is quite that good. It's a little bit slow and goofy, but other than that, visually beautiful movie. The only real drawback that I guess this isn't like an S tier for me is that the story doesn't really do it for me. Like, she's basically just running away from her abusive husband the whole time and then gets with her friend in the end. And I'm like, oh, like I kind of see what they're going for, but beyond the actual initial scene where she's like falling down and breaking her arm, which I get, it strikes me emotionally. The rest of it is kind of like, oh, okay, we're just doing like a fun movie here. Nothing wrong with that. Solid, great A tier thing. What else have I got for this? Another one. Oh yeah, this is also another short film that has a montage at the end where you see like this cake girl and her like cake girlfriend are like, there's a cake with like two women on it. And then you get like a montage where like a gay couple is like going to a wedding cake shop and they're getting the cake and they're happy. And now they have a cake with two women on it. And it's like a nice wrap up of like, oh, look, the cake that from abusive husband to happy lesbian couple on a cake. Look at us. We're like happy now and everyone's happy because of this incident. And it's like, oh, okay, kind of cute. But that's Piece of Cake 2022. Next up, we have High Side 2024. So this is a very, very short film, 3 minutes and 5 seconds. And I have a summary for this. So two friends are at a bar. One of them is afraid of a group called the Vipers, and the other one doesn't really care and ditches them. The scared girl goes outside and runs into the Vipers, who have knocked her friend out and are taking her away. She fights and beats one of them and takes off their helmet and finds out that that Viper has the exact same face as her friend. This was not good. This is a D tier. I think this is purely because I have no idea what's going on in this. It feels incredibly short. Firstly, it's a short film, but a lot of the other short films are also really short, but I feel like there was so much story packed into them and like I could connect to the characters and stuff. This one, I'm like, it feels like it's over as soon as it starts. And so much of it is just like action and it's like kind of pointless action. And at the end, it's like a plot twist that I'm like, I have no idea what's going on here. Like, it's so ambiguous in the end. I guess one good thing to say is that it looks great. Like, this looks like it's straight out of like a Cartoon Network, like 2010s kind of thing. Like, art style wise, it looks fantastic. Like, look at this. Look at the cool compositing, the cool, I don't know what you'd call this, storyboarding. I don't know. You got like a character here, you got this cool light going down. Like, they're in the light, the angled triangle thing. You got this like alleyway. It's like, looks really cool. The whole short film looks like this. So that's like the one element that's good. But like, it's just, nothing happens. It's just so boring. And it's like a weird plot twist at the end. So D tier. But that's all I have to say about High Side. Next up, we have Out of Sight. So this is a 2010 short film. It's 5 minutes and 28 seconds, and it's the best one I have seen, like by far. I really love Out of Sight. So the premise here is basically a little blind girl loses her dog while she's on a walk, and so she goes on an adventure to find him. And it's the cutest thing I've seen in my life. It's so great. Firstly, visually, amazing. You know, very cute art style, great animation, great colors. It's beautiful visually. But the thing I love about this, I mean, there's so much to love about this, but the thing I love the most is the depiction of this, like, this blind girl who is going on an adventure. And while she's on the adventure, she like sees the world through, like, we follow her story through her perspective, where initially, because she's blind, she like walks through, she like knows the area she's familiar with because she was with the dog. And when she loses the dog, there's like a little hole in a fence and she like walks through the hole in the fence and now everything's dark because she's blind and she's in an unfamiliar environment. It's like, what's going on here? And she like hits the wall with a stick, and as she hits the wall with a stick, like the places light up and it's like, oh, she can see like her local surroundings by like hitting the wall with a stick. And it's like, I love the depiction of the world through her eyes, basically. And this like continues on as you go through her adventure because she firstly takes on this cute, like, what you can call it, not like cosplay. She like takes on this cute role of like a witch with like a magic wand, like her stick that she's hitting the wall with, like because of her, she's like on an adventure now. She like, it becomes her magic wand and she's a witch. And it's like really, really cute. And like the world is like so magical through her eyes because she doesn't quite understand what's going on because she's blind and she can hear things and she can smell things, but she like doesn't really piece them together. And like one thing is that like all the buses, for instance, or all the vehicles are like fishes because I don't know, she just perceives them as fishes. And when she hears like a plane in the sky and she looks up, and to her perspective, the plane is like, it's like a giant whale that's like floating and it's like making this loud noise. And it's like, this is just so cute. Well, then there's this one scene where it's like, you see through her perspective, you see there's like a bin, a trash can, and there's like a ball that's like rolling on it. And then like the ball like jumps off and gets in front of her, and then it meows. And as soon as it meows, the ball transforms into like a cat that was rolled up. And it's like, this is so cool. But it's like the depiction of blindness through a little blind girl's eyes is like the cutest thing ever, basically. I like it so much. Oh, there's another thing I just saw in my notes, which is that like she hit a building and it like makes a brick wall appear. And then she hits like a different part of the building, and then she realizes, oh, there's a window here, and the window appears, and it's like, oh, she's like transforming her surroundings by like getting more information by hitting it with her like wand. It's like, this is really cute. What else is there? Love that we see the film. I already talked about that. The car themes, the giant whale. I also like, there's only one line in this like dialogue, which is the little girl just saying Coco, which is like the name of the dog, and it's like really cute. Good voice acting. I assume it sounded like an actual kid saying it, so I'm guessing it was, but maybe a really good adult voice actor. I don't know, but Coco. And I'm like, oh, this is so cute. And then this is my final note, but another cute thing is that she goes on her adventure. She's obviously having a lot of fun. You know, she's pretending she's a witch with a wand and is like going around and seeing this really cool world with a whale in the sky and all this like really magical, colorful environment around her. And then as soon as she finds Coco, like Coco comes back to her, she drops the wand and she turns back into her normal self, and the world around her becomes much less vivid and becomes more grounded and is like back to reality. But she's not sad about it. It's like she enjoyed the little adventure she went on, but she's just happy that Coco is back. And it's like, oh, this is like really cute. Like it shows that on one hand, she enjoys having like this little bit of freedom and like little bit of like having to see the world through her own eyes and perspective. But at the same time, she's like, she misses the dog, and she's like, she loves the world through the dog's eyes too. And it's like, oh, this is like kind of cute. It's not kind of cute. It's really cute. I like this short film a lot, basically. Out of Sight. I highly recommend go watching this. It's like 5 minutes. What are you doing? Just go open another tab right now, or if you're on your phone, scroll down, just open it now. Watch Out of Sight. I think it's really, really cute. Anyway, next up, we have The Acorn Princess. So this is 2020, and it was 7 minutes and 7 seconds. It's barely a short film. My goodness, it's so long. The premise here is, let's see. There's a princess and a prince and a little beetle bug thing, which is the guy in the picture here, except he's actually like a little bug, and then he like transforms into this like big guy, whatever. Anyway, 3 characters. The prince and the princess are going to get married, but the princess is in love with another girl, and the prince is in love with the beetle bug thing. During their wedding, they stage a fake kidnapping where the bug swoops in as a villain and takes the prince and princess away. And then the dad chases them and learns the truth about the love situation, and he's very accepting about it. Excuse me. And then everyone lives happily ever after, basically. Like the prince marries the beetle bug thing. The girl, I think, like implies that they're gonna get together with the princess gets together with the girl. It's like, oh, look at them, they're all happy now. This is a C tier. It doesn't quite land for me. Like I don't really connect with it much at all. There's also voice acting in this movie, which is, I guess, pretty rare. Like, I guess the last movie, Coco, had like a girl saying Coco, but that's like the limit to it. I don't think it really needed the voice acting. I think it might have been better without it, but it's a very, I don't know, it just doesn't connect with me. What else can I say? The art style also doesn't, like, I think it's like well made. Like it looks impressive to make something like this, but it doesn't, like, I don't like it's not appealing to me, like this kind of art style or animation. There are like a few cool shots and stuff, but yeah, it doesn't quite land for me. And the biggest kind of weird thing to me is, ironically, I think it is the relationship between this prince guy and the bug guy. And I'm like, it's a bit weird. I don't know. Like, it's a little bug. He's in love with a little bug, and the little bug turns into this weird alien thing, and they're in love. And I'm like, I guess I get it, but I don't know. It's a bit weird. It just, maybe if I never saw him as the little bug, I'd be more okay with it. But the fact that we initially meeting him and it's like a little beetle, I'm like, I don't know about this. But yeah, that's the Acorn Princess. I don't have much to say about it. Yeah. Okay, next up, we have Lift You Up. So this is a very recent one, 2022, and it's 5 minutes and 35 seconds long. So the premise here, a woman is living in a spaceship orbiting Earth, talking to her boyfriend, assumedly, on a video call, when suddenly a comet crashes into Earth, killing him and potentially everyone on Earth. The rest of the movie is a montage of her living life, going on adventures in space, trying to move on from what happened with her robot friend helping her out. There's a plot twist at the end, though, which is that the robot friend was actually in love with her and destroyed sent the comet to space, basically like fired a thing out of the ship to destroy the city or the planet or whatever, to have the girl all to himself. That's the implication, I guess. I like this a lot. This is an S tier. There's a few things here. One is that the actual scene at the beginning of the Earth getting attacked or getting destroyed, I'm just going to assume in my interpretation, the whole Earth blows up, and that's why she never goes back in the rest of the movie. And the guy dying is just it's so visceral, and it feels real. And it's like one moment you're there and happy and looking forward to the future. Next moment, it's over. Your life has changed forever because of like a sudden change in reality. It's like, it reminds me a lot of like things like Rouge Terabithia, or like things like Anohana and stuff. And it's like one small like no, it's not even small. This is a massive incident, obviously, but like out of nowhere, you can be living a very happy life, be the happiest you've been in your life, and out of nowhere, just suddenly things take a turn and everything is bad going forward. It's really emotionally evocative. I do like that scene at the beginning. It's really good. But second to that, like, it's just beautifully directed. It's definitely an adventure for the majority of this. Not really an adventure, like there's an adventure story going on, but it's like she's exploring a bunch of different worlds. The vibe of this movie is basically someone who has had a tragic thing happen to them and she's trying to move on with it. And I think the way they depict that is very realistic feeling, very grounded, where it's like, the shot that really stands out to me, I did rewatch this before. I rewatched all of these before these, like I made notes and stuff. But the shot that really stands out to me is that where after this incident happened, she's in her ship and she's like crawled up in a ball and she's like kind of like spinning around in like a vacuum, like spinning around. And it's like, this is like so depressing. Like she doesn't want to do anything because she's like, she can't deal with it. I don't know, it gets to me, the visuals. It's also just beautiful. Like all the different planets are well like designed and animated and it looks really cool. It's visually a really great movie. What else is there? Oh, I have two more notes. One is that also, I can't believe I haven't mentioned this yet. The majority of this is like a single song that is being played. And I think the song does a very good job of giving the vibe of someone who has lost everything, but that they also at the same time have someone else who is trying to help them lift them back up, I guess, which is, I guess, the title here, Lift You Up. The song is like a perfect fit for like the vibe of the movie. I guess it also does set the vibe of the movie, right? So it's like a bit of a, what do you call it? A paradox, but yeah, the music is basically great in this. Now, just speaking about the plot twist, which is like a big part of this, because the ending is like, oh my God, the robot actually caused all this. I don't think it's necessary, but it does add like a little dimension to this otherwise very short film, right? Which is that, oh my God, did this robot like do it intentionally? Like, does he know he's evil or whatever? Was he jealous? Or was it like an accidental, like kind of like he doesn't quite understand what he's doing, but he wanted her to be happy and he wanted her to be happy with him, where he felt he could be that making her the happiest. I don't know. It's unnecessary, I think. Like the movie could have perfectly been serviceable without it, but I think it just does add like a little extra dimension to it that I'm fine with. But yeah, that's Lift You Up, a 2022 short film. Next up, we have Summer Roads. So this is a 2022 short film again, 5 minutes and 31 seconds. So I also don't think I'm gonna have much to say about this. The summary for this is that two kids are friends. They plan to go to a tree that they see in a book written by an author that they like. The rest of the movie is them taking the bus to go to the tree. And then when they finally arrive, they see the tree, but they don't see the author who wrote the book. So they were expecting kind of when they get to the tree, the author's also going to be there. Because in the book, he's like in the picture with the tree. But then when they're there, they compliment the director, like they shout out like, oh, I loved your books or whatever. And then he shows up for a second before disappearing. This is C tier. The story was a bit weird. I'm like, why do I care about this guy who's going to appear when they compliment him at the tree? I don't know. All that element was like really weird. The main appeal of this movie, the reason it's like D tier, is it is like a cute like slice of life. All these two friends, you know, they're having adventures. There's like a small detail where one of them, I think this guy, they're sitting on the curb and they're talking about, oh, I remember when you gave me this note and that's how we became friends. And I'm like, oh, there's like a little bit of backstory in these two and they're like cute, like they're a cute friendship here. I like that. That was like the one good thing in this movie. Other than that, I'm not a fan of the art style. I don't like I haven't got a good example here, I guess, but the faces look very like simple and like, it's just like the eyes are dots and stuff. And I don't quite like that. The animation itself is like pretty good most of the time, but it didn't quite land for me. The voice acting is also in this and it's pretty bad. Yeah, I guess I'll just leave it there. It's pretty bad. And again, the story just doesn't quite connect with me. It's meant to be like an adventure with the two friends. It does work, like it is serviceable. Doesn't quite like, doesn't speak to me like to my heart, you know, but that's Summer Roads 2022. And finally, we have Summer Leaves. So this is a more recent movie, 2024, 7 minutes and 25 seconds, made by the same person or same group. I don't exactly know who made these, but there's the previous one. And this is a step up in every regard, basically. Now, the summary here, two kids go on an adventure to check out a small airplane that's crashed into the ocean. They find the plane and they imagine that they're flying it. Later, one of the friends finds out that the other friend is moving away, so they won't see each other anymore. He tells the friend that's leaving that maybe they shouldn't be friends anymore, and then he's sad about it. When his friend who's leaving goes to his house later to drop off some stuff that he forgot, the sad friend realizes that he was wrong to say that he shouldn't be friends anymore, and then they become friends again. So this was like, I guess, just like I said, everything is basically stepped up in this. Like there's a better story. Like the story, I guess, grabs me more. The animation's better, the art's better, the directing's better, the voice acting's better, like slightly, I guess. And the music's better. Basically, it's just like the other film, but better. And the story, there is like one element of the story that like kind of really gets to me, which is that there's a scene, I guess it's this scene here, which is why I chose it as the image, where the friend is basically the friend tells his other friend that maybe we shouldn't be friends anymore, but he's doing it because it's like, it's better to it's easier to be angry and to lash out by saying you don't want to be friends anymore than it is to be kind of sad about it. It's like he like takes the control back by saying that, oh my God, my friend is like taking the control away from me because he's going to be leaving and I can't do anything about it. I'm going to take it into my hands and I'm going to say, we're not going to be friends anymore. It's like turning the sadness into hate or anger. And it's like, I like that story element. It's really interesting. But yeah, that's Summer Leaves. I don't really have much to say about it. It's a solid B tier. But here is the summary of all my short films this month. Maybe I could make this into like a separate series, not necessarily as part of Digest, but here it is. Let me know what you think. I don't know if anyone is listening to this right now. If you are, go watch them. You know, at least watch the S tier ones. They're all fantastic. Maybe watch the D tier one to see how terrible it is. But those are my short films that I watched this month. Or yeah, I guess technically all was in February. And here is the leaderboard for 2025 so far. So we have all the Garden of Sinners at the bottom. I think 1 is the worst, followed by 4, then 2, and then I think 3 is the best. We have Escape the Night in the 3 out of 5s. Oh, I should have made the Garden of Sinners 3, sorry, pink, but you know, it's also a 3 out of, well, I guess I put it in, it's also 2. Anyway, forget it, they're all 2, okay? But Garden of Sinners 3 is actually a 3 out of 5 because it's the best one. Anyway, then we have Nosferatu, Squid Game Season 2, Garden of Words. So Garden of Words is very close to being a 5, but it didn't quite, not everything was perfect about this. Then we have in the 5 out of 5s, Satisfactory, and the best thing I've consumed all year so far, Challenges. But that's that. So thank you for coming and see you next month.